Serious, NSFW. People who woke up in the middle of surgery. What happened? Wisdom tooth removal. I woke up in the middle. Disoriented and with a hand in my mouth. What the FCK? I bit down to make it go away. There was yelling. Open your mouth. Open your mouth. And then I woke up at home several hours later. Not quite during, but immediately after. I had kidney stone surgery. I was barely out of my sleep when I felt an immense pain. Unfortunately, I couldn't move or talk. Then I heard a nurse say, "Doctor, I can't get this catheter in." The doctor says, "Well, you can't be gentle with those. Shove it in." This was followed immediately by pain. What felt like a pop. Then immense relief. I don't remember anything after that until I was back in my room and asked the doctor about it. He just laughed and goes, "Oh, you were awake for that? Sorry about that." All I remember is someone saying, "She's awake," comma. Then I was out again. Now. SHHHHHHHH. Then I was out again. He denied it happened during the recheck, but I distinctly remember the slice into my gums during my wisdom teeth extraction. Wasn't in the middle. But I was woken up by someone yanking the breathing tube out of my throat once I were done. Obviously I'm not a surgeon. When I was 5 I had my tonsils taken out and woke up during it. I don't remember this, but I was told the doctor touched my vocal cords because I sat up. The doctor said it was my parents' fault for not preparing me for surgery. This was 1971 and the doctor knows best. Fast forward 5 years and the school says the teacher can't understand me. My voice had gotten hoarser gradually. Went to a different doctor and he looked at my vocal cords and said there was a callus had built up on vocal cords and needed to be removed. Simple surgery and recovered well. Had speech therapy to relearn how to talk. Edit. Apparently waking up during a tonsillectomy isn't as unheard of as I thought. During my wisdom teeth extraction a few years ago, have to get another one in a few days. Yay. I remember waking up briefly from the sedation, with the feeling of the surgeon tugging at my tooth. But I didn't feel any pain. I remember the surgeon made a brief comment to the assistant. "He's awake?" And then they must have cranked up the gas or something since I blacked out until it was finished. I woke up twice during a spinal surgery. The first time I was still face down, but in a face cradle so I could see the feet of the doctors and attendants around me. The second time I was face up again and was trying to ask for my mom, but couldn't remember the word for it. So I tried asking for my dad instead. My mouth wouldn't work right. Not the same thing. But after 10 hours in labor after an induction I had my epidural topped up for an emergency C-section to deliver my twins. That should have taken care of the pain without knocking me out. The epidural did not work the way it should. I felt every cut, not as a tug or ache, or a pulling sensation, but as a cut. About 70% of the sensation you would expect from a surgery without anesthetic. I saw both twins delivered. And the last thing I remember is the nurse who was watching my facial expression saying, "She's feeling that. She's feeling that," and then I hemorrhaged. Passed out and woke up 10 hours later. I related news. There was a patch of my back below one shoulder blade that was completely numb for about 6 months after having the babies. I think I know where my top-up epidural went. I don't tell my giving birth story often in sensitive company. Not exactly during the procedure, but definitely too early for the operating team. Nurse was handing an x-ray to the doctor on the opposite side of the gurney and I reached up and grabbed it and said, "Mine." Full stop. It startled the nurse and then I was back out. Seagull vibes. Brain tumor removal. Brain has no pain receptors. Dr. Told me I would be awake so he can check the motor functions. He wakes me up though I'm half awake the whole time. I can hear the blender sound in my head. Poked each of my digits and asked me to squeeze. I squeeze. Everything works so he told me I can sleep now. Then I doze off while listening to more grinding. Edit. Thank you all for the points. I was having a surgery to repair a hiatus hernia, usually open chest. But mine was new keyhole method being tried. I woke up right at the end of the surgery. I was freezing cold and still had the pipe, not sure what it's called, down my throat. I remember a lot of people rushing around to warm me up. Heated blankets and stuff. And a lot of panicked voices. It was incredibly uncomfortable and painful. I fell back under, not sure if I was put back under or just fell back under. I wasn't really with it. But it was quite scary afterwards. I just remembered the cold more than anything. I did agree to have 2 trainee anesthetists, supervised, to put me under and monitor me. I'll still always agree to be treated by trainees. Everyone needs to learn. This is all in the UK. Woke up in a colonoscopy once. Went exactly like you think. Painful and I was screaming for them to stop. Everything was orangish. I panicked and slapped the nurse. She panicked back. Then they put me back under. When in doubt, slap the nurse. I woke up during my wisdom teeth extraction. Saw bright lights. Then someone saying, "Oh, crap." Then everything went dark again and the next time I woke up, it was time to go home. I didn't feel any pain at all. I had 4 impacted wisdom teeth and 1 infected by the time I decided to do something about it. Mid-surgery I woke up and freaked out. I distinctly remember the go-to-warp sensation of being sedated like I was made of rubber and stretched. Then I woke up sore with most of the people standing back. Somewhere in the middle I woke up and grabbed the wrist of the dental surgeon. And when the anesthesiologist tried to gas me, I managed to slap his hand to his face. I managed to pull the face mask off the nurse and stopped dead staring at her and burbled with a mouthful of blood about having to save them and I was here to help. Then they drugged my ass and had to put me back in the chair. I was in the fire brigade and surf club. I think I weighted like 115 kilograms and I'm a big guy, 185 cm plus, so that must have been fun. They gave the video to my wife to show me later and after I recovered I drove back down and apologies to them all profusely. The nurse called me Kong for all my following visits. Saw my lungs, partially. Few fussing doctors. Muffled voices and beeping until I fainted before they put me under anesthesia again. It happened to my dad. He was getting a hip replacement. And they started cutting before he went under. He said it was one of the most painful things he's ever experienced. I woke up in the middle of surgery having a metal plate put into my leg after getting hit by a truck. I sat upright. Looked a male nurse dead in the eye. And punched him in the face. I remember none of this. However, when I was in recovery, the nurse came into the room and told my parents he was pretty sure I would be fine if my right hook was any indication. Brain surgery. Woke up. Saw what was going on. Thought it was cool. There I am, opened up. Thought I brain. I think hey anesthesia I swearing off in a golem voice because of the air tube. Freaked out everybody. Started laugh choking, looking around, probably looking like a demon hellspawn, sounding like something from The Exorcist. Terror in the faces around me. Someone screamed. More drugs. Woke up all good to pale faces and people looking like they lived through the horrors of Vietnam. They denied I woke up. But those eyes. We all know what happened. We all know. My mother woke up during surgery on her hand. Her head was under a tent so she couldn't see what was going on. She asked them to turn that stupid f-king music off. They weren't listening to music. Then they put her back to sleep. Turns out she'd had Lady Gaga's paparazzi stuck in her head the whole time. Despite not really being conscious. The first time was when I was getting my wisdom teeth removed. The DR just looked at me and said, "Why don't you go back to sleep?" So I did. The second time I was having a lumpectomy. What I thought was happening was that my dog was on my chest and digging her claws into me, so I pushed her off. What really happened was I could feel them cutting me and I punched the doctor. They immediately strapped my arms down. I was having a hernia operated on when I was about 18. I woke up and remember lifting up my head slightly off the table, but not opening my eyes. My friend's mom was my anesthesiologist and I remember hearing her voice and someone touching my head. Then I was out a moment later. I have no idea if it was 30 seconds after I first fell asleep or 30 minutes after being cut open. I don't recall feeling any pain. However, I did accidentally out my friend to his mom. I had known he was gay for about a year and apparently at some point I told his mom. Again. Not sure when I said it, as I have no memory of it. Sorry Brian. Edit. I was getting an herniated disc scrap removed, L3, I think. And I just woke up. I remember the classical music playing and the surgeons actually discussing the music. There was no pain. But I will never forget the scrapping sensation on my spine. I actually said, should I be awake now? And they just put me back to sleep after that. Not quite in the middle but towards the end. Got my tonsils out when I was 20. Woke up as the doctor was stitching me up. Looked at him and asked if he was done. Poor guy neshed himself. Then about a week later, the stitches opened so I had to get put under so they could stop the bleeding. Woke up again. A few years later, I got my gallbladder removed. Fought off the anesthetic so fast that within the time they wheeled me from the operating room to the recovery room, I was walking around 5 minutes later fighting with the nurses for food. Woke up during hand surgery. I felt the blood pressure cuff cutting off my circulation and tried to rip it off. I heard oh. Shit. They put me right back under and that is all I remember. I woke up during one of my heart surgeries. I remember opening my eyes seeing a monitor, hearing metal clanking and a nurse looking over and grab sandbags to put on my forehead to keep me from getting up moving around. Then it was night time again, whole thing probably lasted 5-10 seconds. Also my dick was out. I've been under a few times. Never woke up. So no memory of the surgery. But occasionally a nurse would say something that would pique my curiosity. Whoa. You're a totally different person when you're sober. Then my wife finally informed me that I always pull my dick out while under anesthesia. When I start coming around, dick comes out. Edit. Whoa. This kinda blew up a bit. Thanks for the award. I was undergoing wisdom teeth removal. They never actually gave me anesthesia. They gave me a bunch of painkillers and numbing agents and something else to make me sleepy. I had headphones and was numb, so it was easy to zone out and sleep. However, I remember looking around the room several times. It was hard to see because of the bright light, but I saw my mouth in the reflection of the dentist's glasses. It wasn't pretty. I woke up during my wisdom teeth extraction surgery and sat straight up, asking the dental surgeon, "So why are you here?" The drill cut my lip and tongue. They wound up sedating me so heavily that despite being awake, functioning, being driven home, and eating a smoothie or something soft, I didn't come to until I was in bed that night. I absolutely freaked out when I realized I was home in bed with gauze in my mouth, as the last thing I remembered was waking up during surgery. My mum woke up during a C-section when I was born. The anesthetist had FK'd up and not given her the right amount. She was awake and could feel a lot of it but couldn't move or speak. The pain and stress caused a lot of other health problems and she has never really been the same since. She tried to sue the hospital in the early 90s but they kept fighting it and we eventually ran out of money to keep going. They offered $5,000 to settle the case, which she took because we were broke. I was under twilight sedation for an oral surgery. I woke up halfway through. Projectile vomited on the surgeon or nurse, and tried to get out of the chair to clean up the mess. I was numbed so there was no pain, and drugged so I was more upset about throwing up on someone than the fact that I was mid-surgery. Apparently I woke up during my adenoid removal and said loudly and indignantly to the surgeon, "Can I help you?" Full stop. I don't remember it, but my father was the anesthesiologist and thought it was a riot, so it became a family joke. I woke up to a male nurse taking my underwear off, stared straight at him and he said, "Oh. Can you feel that?" And I passed back out. Woke up while having my wisdom teeth removed. Proceeded to take a swing at the doctor and start ripping all the monitors off my body. The last thing I remember was a large female nurse laying on me to pin me down while they strapped my arms and legs down. Fast forward about an hour and I woke up way too early post-op. I was in a dark room. By myself. With nothing but the light trickling in around the door frame. I got up. Stumbled my way out to the office while crawling along the wall. Two little nurses started yelling at me for holding onto the wall and came over to assist me in walking. I remember turning to this little nurse and saying very clearly with the most sober focus I've ever experienced, "Woman, let go. Because if I go down, you're coming with me." She let me go and I sat in the waiting room scowling at people with my fat swollen face until it was time to leave. Woke up during shoulder surgery. It was only supposed to take about 2 hours, but when they went in they found my bicep had torn farther from my shoulder than thought. They didn't add any anesthesia. Or whatever it's called. To compensate for the extra 4 hours of time. Woke up as they were pulling the arthroscopic stuff out of my shoulder. Looked at the DR. He sees me awake and says, "Excuse me." Nurse, she sees me, then I was back under. I was too out of it after surgery to ask them about it and they rushed me out and sent me home. I asked the DR about it a few days later at a checkup and he said I scares the crap out of him. We laughed about it and chalked it up to a fluke. I once dislocated my shoulder a few years back when I first did water skiing. I went to the hospital and with immense pain had to go full anesthesia for the procedure. Nurse gave me a small dose since it was a small procedure. Anyway, I remember it knocked me out quick, then slowly started waking up as if it's from a nap. While waking up I remember the doctor saying out loud to hurry up and start the procedure. I started moaning to try to stop them because I'm awake and it hurts like hell. Woke up and was put back to sleep. Still didn't feel a thing. It takes way longer for the feeling come back than to wake up. That's very comforting. Woke up during my wisdom teeth extraction several times. Surgeon looks at me and just says sorry. Just making a little noise. And I went right back to sleep each time. Was getting my wisdom teeth removed. And I just remember waking up and seeing them over me. The doc was asking the nurse for a tool or something. And my vision had an orange tint like I was wearing sunglasses, but I wasn't. I made a noise like a ooh ah. AI because my mouth was held open by something. I thought, great, now I'm gonna get to feel all this, and it kinda wigged me out. They just said you're okay, and the next thing I remember I'm sitting in a different chair outside the operation room crying my eyes out for literally no reason. It was a really weird experience. What's going on here? Oop. Not exactly the same thing. But I had to have a leap, too. Actually, for precancerous cells on my cervix. They put a needle into your cervix to numb you before they go in with the lasers. First time it went as it's supposed to. The second time they gave me the needle. And when she went in with the laser on my cervix, I nearly jumped off the table and screamed. The anesthetic didn't work and I felt everything. Had to give me another syringe of it and I was shaking like crazy. Took a while to recover. I still get really bad anxiety for even regular PAPs since then. It was absolutely horrible. I caught a glimpse of the anesthesia administer guy and he glared at me like he had seen a ghost. Then next thing I know I was on the recovery ward. It was a few hours later and the surgery was done. I don't even remember falling back asleep. I had a conversation with my surgeon and watched him trim ragged cartilage from my knee on a monitor. Luckily mine's much more light-hearted than some here. About 6 years ago I was getting my wisdom teeth removed and I went out like a light when they went to put me under. I woke up briefly towards the end of it. It was a long one since 2 of my teeth were coming in super impacted, so they had to cut them in half to remove them. I think they had 3 of the 4 out and I told them that was a good nap. I could hear them laughing before everything went black again. The next thing I know I'm already eating one of those tiny ice cream things of vanilla and chocolate. I used to have a major fear of waking up during surgeries and that helped me start to get over it honestly. Bonus points, I barely needed the pain meds after the surgery. Said I was one of the lucky few who didn't get the lingering pain. I was looking at them pop my ankle joints back into place by pulling my foot. The doctor saw my eyes and said, "Why the FCK is he awake?" That's all I remember.